The World Court has ordered Israel to prevent acts of genocide against the Palestinians and to do more to help civilians. The reactions to the top United Nations Court ruling are split along the lines of the war raging in the Palestinian territory. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu rejected the case as outrageous. On the other hand, Gaza's Hamas rulers hailed the ICJ ruling, saying that it will abide by any ICJ ceasefire order if Israel reciprocates.
Israel has an inherent right to defend itself. The vile attempt to deny Israel this fundamental right is blatant discrimination against the Jewish state, and it was justly rejected. The charge of genocide leveled against Israel is not only false, it's outrageous.
The U.S. reiterated its position that allegations Israel has committed genocide in Gaza are unfounded. U.S. State Department spokesperson said, and I quote, "We continue to believe that allegations of genocide are unfounded and note the court did not make a finding about genocide or call for a ceasefire in its ruling." South Africa hailed the ruling as a decisive victory for international rule of law.
We expect Israel, as a self-proclaimed democracy and a state that respects the rule of law, to abide by the measures handed down by the International Court of Justice. Today, Israel stands before the international community, its crimes against the Palestinians laid bare.
Saudi Arabia welcomed the ICJ's decision and called for the international community to hold Israel accountable for violations of international law. Qatar's foreign ministry welcomed the provisional measures as well, calling them a victory for humanity and international justice. Kuwait has also welcomed an important step in the conflict, emphasizing the imperative decision for Israel to respect this decision, as well as the principles of international law, humanitarian law, and the United Nations resolutions. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said, and I quote, "We will continue to advocate for peace and an end to the war, the release of hostages, access to humanitarian aid, and the establishment of a Palestinian state alongside Israel so that both nations coexist in peace and security." The French Foreign Ministry emphasized the importance of Israel's strict compliance with international humanitarian law. It welcomed the ICJ's call for the immediate and unconditional release of Israeli soldiers. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan called the ruling valuable. He added, and I quote, "We hope that Israel's attacks against women, children, and the elderly will come to an end." Meanwhile, the European Union says it expects Israel and Hamas to fully comply with the rulings and the verdict of the International Court of Justice, while the Human Rights Watch said that immediate action is now needed to prevent genocide and further atrocities against Palestinians in Gaza. Palestinian authorities have welcomed the decision taken by the International Court of Justice, stating the verdict will aid in isolating the Israel state and dampening its campaign on the Strip.
States now have clear legal obligations to stop Israel's genocidal war on the Palestinian people in Gaza and to make sure that they are not complicit. The ICJ order is an important reminder that no state is above the law. It should serve as a wake-up call for Israel and actors who enabled its entrenched impunity.
Scale up the humanitarian aid, all of things that have been ignored.
Africa has a right to take this up to the ICJ.
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
Following the top court's decision, protests broke out outside the court in Hague. Pro-Palestinian demonstrators reacted to the United Nations top court decision with mixed feelings, with some condemning the ICJ's refusal to rule on the charge of genocide or order a ceasefire.
I am very happy about what I heard. I think it's a step forward for a ceasefire that we're all demanding right now.
We want a ceasefire. We want that the bombing stops. We want that the killing stops. We want that people can live in safety.
Pro-Israeli protesters outside the court defended Israel's actions in the Gaza Strip, supporting the court's verdict, stating that it proved that Israel was not engaged in genocidal actions against the Palestinian people.
There's a reason why the court didn't ask for a ceasefire, because we're not committing a genocide. Israel is not committing a genocide.
Residents of the Gaza Strip and the West Bank expressed disappointment over the lack of a ceasefire verdict, stating that the ICJ should have demanded one to ease the suffering of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians currently under siege by Israeli forces at the Strip. Swathes of Palestinians have been forced to leave their homes because of the conflict.
What is happening in Gaza does not require a court. Everything is clear to the naked eye. The issue of genocide is clear. It does not require a court.
The court's decisions were disappointing to us. We were waiting for the ICJ to issue stricter decisions than that, such as a ceasefire, or returning to our homes in the north and stopping the bloodshed in the Gaza Strip.
We see it more balanced so far, the hearing, but definitely not against our aspirations. We believe that it's a long journey. But now, if at least we can take humanitarian support for our people in Gaza, and to make sure that less killing takes place every day, and that the war is on its way to stop, this is encouraging.